28 years later, Bone Temple. This was an interesting movie to come out. One, because it was just so quickly after the first one.
Yeah, I mean, when did that one come out? Like May-ish, I want to say, or
Something
the
like
summer?
that.
Something like that, yeah.
It's not been a year. It's been like 5-6 months, something like that. So this is the next installment in this kind of new kind of part of the franchise. The 28 years later, directed by Danny Boyle. I thought for the most part, I think it kind of pulled off what I expected from it.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan.
You wasn't a fan.
No.
A lot of people weren't a fan.
Yeah.
I think because you said the style kind of outweighed
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like they prioritized scale over like the intimacy of that first film, and even 28 weeks later, which is, is a lot better than people give it credit for, I think. But yeah, I just thought that got lost, which was strange considering you had Danny Boyle back directing.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of merit to it, but the whole thing in the worst way kind of felt like a video game.
Yeah.
But a video game without, I don't know, for me, just something was missing.
Yeah, and
I was very
Danny
impressed by
Boyle
what I was watching, but it just wasn't there.
He's very stylistic director.
Yeah.
I think it's because I've never personally actually seen him, even though weirdly 127 Hours is like one of my favorite films. I've never seen Danny Boyle as like the top. When you see something's coming out by Danny Boyle, I'm not necessarily thinking, oh, this is just going to be a masterpiece. He's done quite a few
anymore.
duds.
I feel like there was a point.
There was definitely a point.
He did Train Spotting,
Yeah.
and like Slumdog as well. Like his
but he's done a few duds and he's fallen off in certain aspects. But for the most part, I really enjoyed 28 Years Later for what it was. And for the second reason why this is just such a weird movie is just at the end of 28 Years Later, which we've talked to death about.
Yeah.
It's just
that weird ass ending, which I'll get to how this may or may not change my opinion of that.
It was so confusing in itself. And I think primarily because of just the implications it had about just like real life characters, in particular Jimmy Savile. Why the fuck? We were just stewing on that for so long, just thinking, why the fuck have they put in a Jimmy Savile character? I just could not understand it. So, 28 years later, Bone Temple came out recently. We watched it today.
I had high hopes for it.
Yeah.
And it kind of surpassed my expectations. I mean, this is what the first 28 years later should have been. I was just really impressed by this.
Especially because it's directed by Nia DaCosta.
Yeah, who hasn't really done much. Candyman,
yeah,
I think.
Which
and
didn't
then
do well.
The Marvels, which was, just another MCU film.
Yeah.
Didn't do very well. So very strange, because this film is brilliantly directed.
Yeah.
Like, really well directed.
Yeah, and the music choices as well.
Yeah.
I came out of this movie just really thinking, wow, this is actually a franchise that I'm seriously thinking I am so excited for the next installments.
Yeah, I'm invested.
I'm fully invested.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just a cash grab at this point.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, wow, they're actually decided to do this for a reason. They've put a lot of thought into it. They're making really interesting and bold choices with the story.
Yeah.
And they're going in crazy new directions, which was just really shocking to me. I was just constantly in this movie just floored by how surprising it was. It's really brutal movie compared to the first one. I mean, this one's an 18 as well.
Yeah, I mean, it fucking earns that rating.
Yes, 100%.
But holy shit, this was gruesome.
Even in the first opening scene, you're taken aback by what...
God, I mean, I guess the first 28 years later was pretty gruesome, but this, caught me off guard.
This takes it up a level, 100%. But I felt it was all really perfectly fitting. I think, as you were alluding to, I think having watched this movie now, I think it really does kind of make me look at the whole fucking Jimmy Spike crew in a different light. Yeah. It justifies it in a way. No, it kind of makes everything click into place.
So I'll get to that. I think it justifies it in the context of the larger story. Yeah. Having watched this film and how brilliant it is, that it makes me appreciate that ending a little more. But I think in the context of that first 28 years later, I still don't like it. Because in the context of that film, which was, I don't know, it hadn't really been built up. I mean, maybe so with the opening scene. Yeah. But that was kind of its own thing. So having the Jimmys come in and then also reading, I think we've spoken about this before, reading Alex Garland and Danny Boyle's reasoning for it, that it was like a commentary on nostalgia and whatnot, which I just don't think was built up and didn't link to anything. Yeah, I think in the context of that film, it still doesn't work. But with now this sequel, it makes you appreciate it a little more, knowing where it's led.
I think that's what a fucking franchise should be doing. Yeah, every installment should be adding more context and light and justifying things that have been mentioned or brought up in the previous installment. I think that absolutely does that. I think it's such a strong set of movies, and I think in a way it kind of props up the first one in the sense that it kind of you can look at it as a whole now, and it's like, okay, 28 years later is a part one, and it's not the full story. But I will just say that
Bone Temple is the
Bone Temple is where it really, it really kind of takes it up a notch in every respect. I think it was way better than 28 years later.
Oh, leagues above.
Yeah, I think it just really didn't make sense, because when you see 28 years later, directed by Danny Boyle, you're not expecting that.
It's just really strange. And I also like how this film felt like more of a natural progression of the lore in terms of scale. Still very intimate, and it just continued the story in a more natural way.
Yes, absolutely.
And like even from the first few minutes, I was on board. I just didn't really feel that in the first 28 years later. But with this, I want the Jimmies, like what the hell? What's their backstory? Yeah. What are they looking for?
But I just thought those set of characters, particularly
Jack O'Connell. He's been on just a golden run. I mean, Sinners.
Yeah.
He's been killing it. He's one of
In particular, that was such a standout. I mean, that is, to me, is almost, I already kind of look at that as like an iconic antagonist character. Just in the world. I think it's so interesting having I've never been a fan of fucking Walking Dead, and I'm sure they did this many times, but having man's inhumanity to man being worse than the fucking zombie apocalypse, that's a common thing in zombie movies. I'm not saying it's anything new, but that truly is the most interesting side of fucking zombie movies, and exactly. I think it did that really well. Just having the antagonist be this really twisted, sick fucking Satanist character that is just so corrupted, and for whatever reason. But it never felt as though it was forced upon us. It never felt as though it didn't make any sense. It felt as though, wow, I could imagine being in the zombie apocalypse. And there would be many people like this.
Absolutely.
Gangs like this, just generating everywhere. That would happen. That would fucking happen. And it's interesting to see those kind of shades of characters explored,
Alex Garland, mate, when he's on form, he's just fantastic.
Yeah.
And this is just, I don't know, it's so much better than the last one.
Yeah, it is a lot better.
And it's so strange, though.
Yeah.
Because they were filmed probably written around a similar time. Consulting Danny Boyle and Nia DaCosta and whatnot. And it's just leagues above. And Michael, can we just give a round of applause for Ralph Fiennes? It's like fucking excellent,
man. That character as well.
Matt,
his character is iconic.
Yeah.
His character is so iconic to me. Just that. The first one, I couldn't really get with the idea of the Bone Temple.
I know, he was more of a plot device. And I guess we were setting up his lore. Yeah. Really, when you look back at the first one.
Yeah, and I think
still played an important role.
It seemed like more. There was just it wasn't explored that much, right? And it seemed like I don't know, the whole Bone Temple idea. It just seemed a little bit goofy to me. But now it's been more explored and fleshed out. It just makes 100% sense.
Yeah, completely.
I mean, it's because of Ralph Fiennes. He just absolutely makes that character 100% believable.
I don't think I'll ever listen to Girls on Film the same way again.
Yeah. Oh my God, that last half an hour. What the fuck was that?
Yeah, that was a trip.
That was crazy. But it was like, it felt. Look, movies. For some reason, they have this thing where they take things a little bit too far in the last act. Right. With this one, it took it really far, but it worked. It fucking worked.
Yeah.
There was no point where I felt like, oh, this is stupid. Within the context of the story, and I think that's why I think it kind of props up the first film more now. Having seen just little elements of his character be built up, having spent more time with him. I love build-up. Maybe that's why, I think it really justifies the first film in that sense. It never felt like it was silly. At all. It felt really real in a really bizarre way because of how ridiculous it was. I mean, I was in shock. Not at this is so ridiculous. Just wow, this is so bold. Yeah, absolutely.
And weird. Yeah, it's a weird film.
Yeah, it's surprising. It should be, but a fucking zombie movie should be like that.
And another thing, I don't know if people are going to pick up on this, but surprisingly funny and intentionally so. Yeah. I laughed a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah,
a lot of very great, dry British humor.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and a really weird kind of humor. Yeah. That it's so fucked up and so tragic and so awful. What the hell is what's going on? And but within that, there's moments of just kind of brilliant comedy as well. It's really weird, just effortlessly funny lines, and that's Jack O'Connell as well, who's just again, he's just excellent. Going into spoiler territory, what did you think of Ralph Fiennes with the Jason fucking Momoa zombie guy?
Oh, I thought that was great, and also added quite a lot of humor because it's like, you know, it's his pet.
Yeah.
And he's like, and that little montage of him bonding. With the zombie.
Yeah.
And then I think the fact that he called him Samson, which is obviously like, you know, a biblical reference.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was all just tied in so perfectly.
Yeah.
Smartly written. No, I love that.
There was parts where I was like, okay, if I just came into the cinema now
what the fuck's
and
going
just saw him dancing with fucking the zombie, I'd be thinking, what the fuck is this? But having followed it, it never felt weird, because you think, man, can you imagine being
like stuck out there
with no one to talk to, no one to hang out with at all? 28 years later in this zombie apocalypse, you would be going fucking insane.
Of course.
You know, and there was something about that fucking Jason Momoa looking zombie that he really admired, because he was the alpha and he just wanted to keep him close. And I think that's why he's such an iconic character, you know, the way that he kind of survives, you know, he uses his mind. And I really like that little moment where he's sitting in his weird little bedroom and he looks at an old picture of himself when he's with his wife, and you just sit there and you realize, oh my god, like he was a normal guy with a wife, you know, he was just a doctor living his life, you know. And particularly what I really like about the Jason Momoa guy is
he's not even Jason Momoa, but we're gonna keep calling him that.
The fucking alpha zombie guy.
No, he is basically Jason Momoa.
Is I found it very interesting. I can't really think of, you know, movies have definitely explored this slightly, but not to this extent. I don't think zombie movies of showing the humanity in zombies to this degree. Like the fact that he's, but again, it makes sense. The writing makes sense. You know, he's a doctor and he's been experimenting with these drugs. He's trying to understand the fucking virus. He's trying to understand what it does to you and all these different chemicals and drugs that kind of can counteract what it's doing to your brain. He injects this zombie, with all these different things, and he gives him pills towards the end, and he actually slowly finds himself, the zombie itself, remembering who he was when he was younger, when he was a kid. I found that like so poignant. I thought that was like really, really like unexpected as well. I did not expect to see that from this movie.
And it's really interesting you say that they've actually been able to have like such a character moment within a scene that I thought maybe was more played for comedy in the best way, when he just goes, oh, I don't have my ticket. I found that really, really funny.
Yeah. And,
now showing describing it, there is a poignancy to that.
Yeah, it's funny and it's poignant at the same time. Yeah. Because at first, you know, you see this fucking massive zombie ripping people's heads off, right? Within like the first minute, and it doesn't take its time in showing you really gruesome moments, but like, and you think, wow, this fucking zombie is going to be like the antagonist in this movie. You know, you're going to be following these gang of people that are going to be, you know, trying to fight him or kill him off. And then it makes it you look at it from a different perspective and think, well, he's just as much of a victim of the virus as everyone else. You know, the zombies are the worst victims. Yeah. And the Ralph Fiennes character is kind of trying to bond with it in that sense. You know, that kind of the humanity in his character is just it's kind of inspiring. I don't know. There's just a lot about this movie that I was really in tune with. Just the themes. You know, the Satanists, it just made complete sense that, you know, the idea of Christ and, you know, Jack O'Connell's character being so convinced in himself, and that's a debate in itself whether he was really convinced or he was just tricking people the whole time, that this, what was it called? Old Nick was really his dad, which is Satan, you know, and it gives you a lot of food for thought, way more than the average zombie movie, in my opinion. I felt like there were zombies, they were the foundations of it, but they stepped in and the writers really thought deeply about the characters and the story, and it really worked. It really worked, and it was very, very impressive.
And also, I like how they've led into the next one as well. You know, because sometimes it can really feel like, oh yeah, you know, this is just, you know, sequel fodder, but it isn't. Like, you know, the fact that Cillian Murphy is there at the end. With any other genre, I'd just be, oh, it's a little cameo. We're just getting him in there for nostalgia's sake. But I like what they're teasing.
Yes, absolutely.
That, you know, that little scene. I like that he's there, you know, teaching his daughter, you know, like about politics and just, you know, trying to be like a normal dad.
Yeah. I don't even remember where his character was left off when we last saw him.
It's been a while since I've seen the first.
Because there were a lot of people saying that in the promotional pictures of 28 years later that he was a zombie.
The last one. Everyone thought that was Cillian Murphy.
I thought it was.
Same.
I thought it looked like him. I was like, oh shit, that's crazy. But I thought that was like one of the best decisions they could have made. And then at the very end, they hit you with the iconic 28 years later fucking theme tune.
I was like, oh, okay.
And by then I was just like, mate, I'm fucking gushing over this. It brought me back that fucking feeling of being excited about a fucking franchise.
It's just interesting that, I mean, like, I don't know what this is in the franchise. Maybe the fourth film?
Yeah.
The fourth film is like, feels like the best sequel. It's the true sequel more than the actual sequel. Yeah, and I know a lot of people love the first 28 years later. I just didn't vibe with it. This is what I was expecting. This is what I wanted.
Yeah.
You know, because this is like, in its themes, very epic, but very intimate, which is what the first one was. Mm-hmm. Very small scale.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is how it should have been, rather than trying to add so much spectacle, which I think the last one was guilty of.
Yeah, I just hope that it continues in this way.
Yeah,
and
I'm very excited for the third one.
Yeah, the next installment, I think, with Cillian Murphy, you know, that's why we're so excited about it. I just think if it's got Cillian Murphy in it, you know, and then obviously exploring Jason Momoa's character and the Spike character, and the girl, I just think these are all great ingredients for a next brilliant installment. So really looking forward to the next one.